5:44 here on the East Coast. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Take a look at your screen. This is the latest time-lapse video. As you can see, the floodwaters rolling in. Tragic news this morning as the Texas flood death toll has now surpassed 100. We don't want to waste any time. Let's go ahead and check in with Fox Weather's Robert Ray as he joins us live from Kerrville, Texas this morning. Robert, good morning to you. We can see how there's an overturned tree behind you. That just sets the tone for the devastation and destruction that locals are still dealing with.
Yeah, they are still in an active search and rescue, and indeed, this tree right on the banks of the Guadalupe River. Look, it's still dark here, so you can see a little bit of it as our camera pans out and illuminates the back and indeed the destruction behind me. And we look at some of the visuals from the past few days, and they are catastrophic. 100 plus souls are gone because of this flash flooding that occurred on July 4th in the middle of the night into the early mornings. Just an unbelievable situation, unspeakable. 28 of those victims from Camp Mystic, and it is unbelievable because those are little girls and the families that are mourning the souls that were lost on July 4th. The search and rescue is still very active. We see men and women up and down the Guadalupe River combing the debris, moving through the debris, trying to find a miracle, looking for hope. Residents and aid groups are also helping as much as they can up and down the river system here, looking for survivors or, unfortunately, some of the missing, and there are dozens that are still missing, unfortunately. When the light comes up, you will hear choppers buzzing up and down the Guadalupe River. I've already heard a couple early this morning, starting in the 3 a.m. hour central, and you will begin to see all the search and rescue that will continue. In addition, major significant pieces of machinery are being brought in. Yesterday evening, we witnessed that as they were removing a lot of the debris, so there is partial recovery amid the search and rescue that continues. Full federal force of help from President Donald Trump and his administration, which will be here on Friday, touring the damage, state and local working together, and aid groups trying to put together as much as peace as they can for people that have lost not only physical structures, but most importantly, loved ones. We'll continue to report as the sun comes up in the next hour or so here in Kerrville, Texas. Back to you.
All right, Fox Weather's Robert Ray. Robert, you're always on the front lines when it comes to severe weather events. You've covered some of the worst hurricanes we've seen. I'd love your expertise and perspective on this specific flood. Have you seen anything like it? Would you like to compare it to something that you've covered in recent years?
Well, from a topography standpoint and a damage standpoint on structures and vegetation, you know, the flooding in eastern Kentucky, at 3 summers ago, was comparable. But the catastrophic loss of life, this is something that you just don't see very often. And you certainly, it just takes you back when you realize that 28 little girls were swept away in the water. It's just unfathomable, and they're still missing. So it's hard to make any comparison, but again, taking away the loss of life, I would say that, you know, a few years ago, eastern Kentucky, and then there's been comparisons to Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina. Except for this, I would caution people on making that comparison because atmospherically, yes, there was some similarities, but on the ground, no, very different. Much more widespread destruction after Hurricane Helene. No communications, no power, no running water for weeks and months, and roads damaged in so many areas. That is something that, you know, we don't see here. There is communication, there is running water, and cell phones and communications do work. So there's a lot of similarities atmospherically, but not really on the ground.
All right. Well, Fox Weather's Robert Ray, we always appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox. You and your team always do a stellar job. Thank you to you and your videographer for joining us to share the most compelling images and give us the most up-to-date information. You all be safe out there as you work to keep us informed.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.